In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I packed my frameless backpack while I was on my AT thru hike. Hey everybody, it's Frozen and thanks for joining me. I've had a lot of requests to show how I personally packed my light AF Curve 35 while I was on my AT thru hike. So let's just dive right into this thing. First of all, I really highly recommend you get some kind of pack liner. Though this material of this pack, which is Dyneema composite fabric, is waterproof itself, it still needs to be sewn and taped to keep the water out. And even still, you can get some moisture inside the pack. So what I highly recommend is go out, get yourself a trash compactor bag or something like that. This is a Nyloflume bag you can get from lightsmith.com. I did have some water issues with one of these, so I really can't recommend it, but it's all that I had laying around. I need to go out and get some more trash compactor bags. Anyway, this bag would line the pack and it would just kind of live inside the backpack at all times. Okay, so whenever I packed up in the morning, pretty much there was nothing in this pack. It was just empty. If I had stuff in here, it means I probably didn't need it, and it usually just stayed home. So first thing I would do is I would pack my quilts up. Now I'm in a hammock setup. I have a top quilt and a under quilt to kind of keep me warm, as well as my hammock and my tarp. So my two quilts would go side by side in the bottom of the pack, and they would kind of give the pack some structure. All right in front or back here by the mesh, I would put my hammock. It's a double-sided stuff sack hammock. I can easily get it in and out, and I kind of rolled it down right in the front to the bottom of the pack. On top of my hammock, what I would do is I would take my clothes bag, which is just filled with my town/sleep clothes or gloves or whatever I had. I would just put that right in front of the quilts and on top of my hammock stuff sack. Then I would just take my pillow and shove it in any corner or crevice or whatever I could get it into, just kind of get it out of the way. Always stayed loose, but you're welcome to pack it up in its stuff sack. I just didn't see a use because it's already in a waterproof vessel anyway. On the AT, I saw a lot of people using down jackets. My first thought on the AT weather and down is just a bad idea, especially for a jacket. It's always wet. It's always damp. It was foggy. It was humid. And just half the time, it would just be kind of wet conditions. So I brought my Melanzana microgrid hoodie, and when I packed that up in the morning, I kept it right on the top so I could still get access to it, but it would still remain dry and away from the humidity. After that, let me roll this down so you can see what I'm doing. I would take my trash compactor bag or pack liner and kind of squeeze it and then push it down to get all, or at least as much of the air out as I can. Everything I've put up to this point, minus the electronics, can be squished down pretty good. And then I would give it a few wraps, and I would take the tail end and I would just kind of push it down the side, just so no water could potentially get in if I had to open my pack in the rain. As you can see, we have packed this much of the 35-liter backpack, and we still have plenty of room to go. Now, the next step was really important, at least for me, because I am using a frameless backpack, and that means that there's no kind of support in the back. It's just really a cylinder with shoulder straps attached to it. I would actually take my sit pad and put it right where my back would lean up against it inside, and then I would take my food bag and put it right up in front. That way, the sit pad kind of took out and cushioned any kind of sharp objects or blunt objects inside the food bag. After that, really, it's just all about throwing stuff in. Take my cook kit, put it on one side. My ditty bag would go on the other side. My food that I would have throughout the day for lunches would go on top of that. And my toilet paper would go right around this area inside, just wherever I could fit it and had room. Now, as you can see, I still have plenty of room inside this 35-liter internal pack, and that was reserved for really if I had any kind of extra food that I wanted to bring or anything like that, if I had packed out some food from towns. So after I was done packing the internal capacity of this, I would kind of push all the air out again and then start folding it down. And I would buckle and buckle again. Okay, like I said, I'm in a hammock setup, so I have a tarp that hangs overhead so I don't get wet. And this would really just go in this mesh pocket. This mesh pocket on this pack is huge, and I use the tarp as pretty much like a divider. It looks really silly, but hey, whatever works. I would then take my 2 pieces of rain gear, which consisted of a kilt and a rain jacket, and I would shove it on the right side like that. If you guys want to see any of the in-depth videos where I actually talk about why and what pieces of gear I brought on my hike, be sure to see my AT playlist. I have pretty much every category of gear that I brought, and I talk about it in depth. This video, I just wanted to get out to show you how I packed my stuff. But for those interested, check the other videos out. All right, rain jacket and stuff is in here, and then my tent stakes and guy lines would go on the other side. Now this room, this spot right here, would be reserved for garbage. I would always carry my garbage in like a gallon Ziploc freezer bag and just kind of roll it up and shove it right in this pocket. That's where this was for. So that pretty much fills up the mesh, okay? So as you can see, I have 2 other pockets right here. These were reserved for my electronics. I carried with me my Bluetooth headphones. They would go in the bottom of this little pouch right here. And then on top of that, my tripod and phone mount clip would go on that. And then on the other side, I would actually just keep my phone right there. Add the water bottles. And I kept my Sawyer squeeze right on top of that bottle. Cinch down the sides. And we got a nice packed backpack. As far as the snacks that I had throughout the day, all of my snacks, all the Snickers bars, all the crackers, all the string cheese, everything was in my Light AF fanny pack, and that directly attaches to my backpack via these clips down here at the bottom. This was something that I've never tried before, and I ended up really, really liking it. In fact, so much that I've switched full-time to rocking a fanny pack. I think if you haven't tried it yet, try it out, see if you like it. The problem that I have with a pack with a hip belt and hip belt pockets is you just sweat so much, and that in turn turns into chafing for me. I just can't stand that. It's the most miserable thing to hike with chafing, and the fanny pack kind of relieves that for me, at least most of it. If you guys like this video, you know what to do. Be sure to give it a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe and turn on that notification bell to notify you whenever I come out with new hiking videos. Thanks everybody. I'll see you on the trail.